Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. YouTube just pulled a video off, just pulled the Epstein pal Bill Gates denies vaccines to poor countries. They pulled it off for, quote, medical misinformation. So support what we do at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, or more importantly, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, blockchain cryptocurrency platform that doesn't censor us. Why? Well, let's talk about it's in the year that I've been really paying attention to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically. It's amazing to see all the people who have come forward to say dumb things about it. But there's even quotes from like big hedge funds people from like several years ago. They're like, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, but now they've changed their mind and they're putting their company's assets in there. The latest idiot is the most amazing, like out of touch old man who still thinks he's hip. Like Bill Maher is the guy at the nightclub with like the Ed Hardy shirt and too tight jeans and obvious hair plugs and like a Ferrari jacket. Think like going up to like 20 something girls like, hey, and they're like, oh my God, this is what he just said on his show, which I don't watch. I saw this on Twitter. This is what he said. It's so great.
And finally, new rule, nothing with crypto in the title ever turns out good. There is a mania rising in the country these days about cryptocurrency and how the train is leaving the station, so you better get on. Tesla has jumped in with both feet, and Microsoft accepts it for software now. Etsy accepts it now, and so does PayPal and Starbucks and Whole Foods and Home Depot. 1 in 10 Americans use their stimulus checks to invest in one of thousands of cryptocurrencies in existence, Bitcoin being the most famous, but there's also Ethereum, Binance, Tether, even one called Cumrocket. There's also one called Dogecoin that someone started as a joke, but as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same as all the other cryptocurrencies because the whole thing is a joke.
Right there. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Right there. The whole thing's a joke. This Dogecoin, Cumrocket, Bitcoin. If you knew anything, you would know that Bitcoin stands alone. Because Bitcoin, just watch any video about the creation of Bitcoin and why it's different. We've had Max Kaiser on the show. That's why Max Kaiser is what is known as a Bitcoin maximalist and says the other altcoins are all bullshit. Because Dogecoin is made of nothing. I don't know what but I mean, some of them are based on technologies, Ethereum, whatever, and maybe there's value. And hey, my Ethereum's gone up, great. But right there, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And just sounds like some dumb old man. Bitcoin is blockchain and it's open source. There is nothing like it out there. He doesn't even know what that means. It is a digital currency. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. That Bitcoin is not the same as the altcoins. It isn't. And each altcoin is different. So comparing them all together is just like, it's like when the internet came. I mean, it's literally like, Google, AOL, some guy, in his basement making internet stuff. It's all hooey. Okay. And his sucker fans cheer.
I fully understand that our financial system isn't perfect, but at least it's real.
Bill, the Federal Reserve just printed trillions of dollars. In 1971, the United States got off the gold reserve, so it hasn't been real in 50 years. So you don't even understand the basic concepts of money. When we got off the gold reserve, that means our currency is worth nothing. It's backed by nothing.
Stock is worth money because Apple makes $1,000 phones that everyone buys and then drops in the toilet. But Dogecoin recently rallied to be worth more than the market cap of Ford and Kraft Foods, and it has no product and no workers. It's just Easter Bunny cartoon cash. I've read articles about cryptocurrency.
Okay. That argument about Dogecoin is totally legit. Dogecoin specifically is nothing. Well, what's the difference between Doge and crypto? Between Doge and Bitcoin? There's nothing like Bitcoin out there. Whoever Satoshi, that person or persons are, created a brilliant thing, knowing full well how corrupt and bad our central banking system is. That's why they created a decentralized currency on a blockchain, which is like a ledger that we all get. It's like I explain to people, I don't get it. I'm like, imagine if we did a transaction in cash and there was a ledger, right? Like a physical, like a paper ledger. And I said, Graham Elwood pays you $50. And we wrote it in this ledger. And there was 50 people around us, and they all passed and they all wrote in there, and they all verified. I'm Steve Smith, and I verify that Graham gave $50 to this person, right? And all 50 people watched it happen. They watched the transaction take place, and they all verified it in a ledger that we can all look at it. So then if I come back and go, actually, I only paid you $40. They can go, nope, 50 people signed up. It's like 50, what do they call it? Notary publics. Like 50 notaries all watched this happen at the same time, and they all put it in the same ledger. $50 transaction, Graham gave this. So if I try to say, I only gave him 40, that's not that. No. Or the other person goes, oh, no, he didn't. It was only 20. Nope. It's a ledger. Because the financial system isn't perfect, but at least it's based in something. Because right now, Bill, the financial system, they can do whatever they want. Janet Yellen has made $1.7 million in speaking fees to these big banks. There's no Bitcoin CEO. That's what he can't get his little Hollywood brain around. So it must be ridiculous. So now he's comparing Dogecoin, which is a joke, to Bitcoin. Unreal.
See, I've had it explained to me, and I still don't get it, and neither do you.
Yes, I do. And yes, to all these brilliant minds. You don't get it, so you can't fathom that you don't get something because you think you're so hip and cutting edge. You're an out of touch old man.
Or anyone else. And I'll explain why. So there's these things called nerds. And in 2008, one of them, we don't know who, because this person or group of persons.
It's actually January of 2009. So right there, you don't even have your facts right. It's when Satoshi Nakamoto wrote the, or I forget the full name, but Satoshi wrote the white paper, not 2008. 2008 is when this corrupt central banking system that favors the elite and pays for war started 6 million Americans from going into foreclosure and losing their homes and their life savings, and I being one of them. So that's what actually happened in 2008. So your dates are wrong because you didn't keep that financial crisis didn't bother you because you just kept getting paid your probably 8-figure income to push corporate and ruling elites' talking points.
Still anonymous, made up Bitcoin out of thin air using the fake name Satoshi Nakamoto, which I think are the Japanese words for monopoly money.
No, Bill, that's Wall Street is monopoly money. Every time Wall Street fails, the federal government bails them out, just like the last CARES Act from a year ago and the stimulus we just had a month ago, where big corporations were given billions of dollars and still furloughed or laid off employees, like Tenet Healthcare, that they were given monopoly money. The Federal Reserve is printing money. They are literally pulling money out of thin air. It's not backed by gold. It's backed by nothing. The force of the United States that has what, a $21 trillion deficit or whatever it is.
Now, Now, capitalism, of course, has always contained an element where instead of actually making something or providing a service for money, you could make money in the exciting field of money. But we knew money had to originate from and be generated by something real somewhere, to which cryptocurrency says, no, it doesn't.
Exactly. This is circumventing the Federal Reserve. See, he's profited from the system. He has a nice TV show. He makes it, I'm sure, $10 million a year, somewhere in there, maybe more. I doubt he makes seven figures, which is only single digit millions. I'm sure of it that he makes at least 10 million or more. It guaranteed. And so this system, he works on HBO, which is owned by one of the massive 5 multinational conglomerates that control all the media. He's a useful tool to keep the country divided. He doesn't give a shit about working class people. He's never given a shit about working class people. His arrogance, he doesn't care about the 2.5 billion unbanked in the world and why Bitcoin is actually pulling them out of poverty. He doesn't care about that because he's a rich, privileged, pampered, and isolated Hollywood idiot.
Maybe this is why Warren Buffett says cryptocurrencies basically have no value and they don't produce anything. What you hope is that somebody else comes along and pays you more money for them later on.
Even that doesn't make sense because Ethereum is a service. It is the Ether network. I mean, it's literally what he's saying is like, Bill, you're right. You're so right. It's like someone's coming along telling me there's going to be these, I don't know what they're called, virtual stores on this internet. And on this internet, people are going to like get these like, I don't know what they're called, credit card, type in a bunch of numbers, and then digital money from your bank account is going to then be sent to this virtual store. And you're going to get a product. Like you're not going to walk into a store. That'll never happen. Like email. Come on. When are we going to get rid of a handwritten letter with a stamp? It's never going to happen.
But then that person's got the problem. In terms of value, zero.
Software now, does he even know what year he's in? So even the designers of software, you don't even get the CD-ROM that you download software. You don't even get DVDs for movies. Like what? It's just like, I mean, this is the kind of crap that people said, oh, when VHS tapes came, who's going to go get a V8 and not go to the movie theaters? Now you're telling me in some crazy future, we're going to download movies with electric money and they're going to just magically appear in our TVs. Yeah. Yes, Bill, they are. God, it's amazing to me that he's allowed to be this show and have this voice and have this platform.
Or as another analyst put it, it's an open Ponzi scheme. It's like having an imaginary best friend who's also a banker.
You mean the Wall Street Ponzi scheme? When they screw up and they get bailed out by the federal government and millions of people's lives are destroyed, homes, retirement, pension funds, savings accounts wiped out, that Ponzi scheme? That Ponzi scheme has fed him. So he's not going to be critical of it. So he's going to do this kind of propaganda to say Bitcoin's bad. Even though I hate to break it to you, Billy boy, all this institutional money's flowing in. And people are all saying Warren Buffett is out of touch.
This is how the world economy crashed in 2009. It wasn't the lost value in actual houses that sunk us. It was this virtual market that required inventing algorithms to bet on how much houses might be worth in a virtual scenario. But then the landlord called in the bill for this virtual market because in adult land, it turns out the landlord is always real. Our problem here is at root, not economic, but psychological. People who have been raised in a virtual world are starting to believe they can really live in it.
Bill, how do you pay your bills? When people are like, what is Bitcoin? It's digital. How often do you pay in cash for anything? Every once in a while. But I mean, I'm most of my bills are set on auto pay. You get direct deposit. So it's literally just a ledger on an account. And if the dollar drops in value and you have a bank account that says you got $5,000 in the bank's going to go, we can only give you $500 in cash. And you're not going to have access to that money because it's digital. It's called a run on the banks, Bill. This is more just like, these millennials living in their robot worlds. Dumb old man.
Much of warfare is a video game now. Why not base our economy the same way? And cryptocurrency is literally a game. Bitcoins are created by what they call mining, but not the kind of mining that's done by 7 dwarves who share a woman.
Or the mining that's done to get, the slave labor that's used in Africa to get diamonds, like you and your rich friends wear at the award shows.
This kind of mining involves using rooms full of supercomputers to make something that is purposefully arbitrary. Essentially, one computer thinks of a number between 1 and infinity, and other computers take trillions of guesses at what it is. It's the old game of I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10, except times a gazillion, and the guy guessing the number lives in China, and the guy who knows the number lives in the Matrix.
God, these people are so stupid.
Take that, work. Do I need to spell this out? There is something inherently not credible about creating hundreds of billions in virtual wealth with nothing ever actually being accomplished and no actual product made or service rendered.
Stay working. A rich guy's telling you to stay at work. Stay working in your real jobs. Don't acquire wealth because you're not allowed to have it, working person. Only the rich are allowed to have it. You could actually, through Bitcoin specifically, but some cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin specifically, which is different than all the altcoins. It's not on Amazon servers that can be shut down. It's not with a company the servers can be seized. It lives on the internet. It is brilliant in its decentralization and its creation. It can't be shut down by a government. Governments can say, we don't accept it. It's not allowed here, but good luck. And the whole world is agreeing on its value. Just like a dollar bill or a euro. You're agreeing to its value. And in America, since we've been off the gold reserve since 1971, we're all agreeing on this same myth that he's like, this crazy myth.
It's like Tinkerbell's light. Its power source is based solely on enough children believing in it.
Children talking down to you. God, these dumb boomers and their boomer casino.
And unfortunately, what is real is the unfathomable amount of electricity those massive supercomputers suck up for their mining. The power, listen to this. The power being used right now to guess numbers and win imaginary prizes is the same as all the electricity needed to light all of New York State, except the governor's office where they use romantic candles. Bitcoin uses more electricity per transaction than any other method
Bill Gates.
known to mankind. Just one uses more energy than 1 million Visa transactions and has the same carbon footprint as 85,000 hours of watching YouTube, what a 15-year-old calls the weekend.
Because only 15-year-olds watch YouTube. Do you see how condescending this is? Like, you see, this is just a rich, I'm sorry, I hate to be a rich baby boomer who has no fucking clue about how anything works. And then he's using this argument, which has been debunked. Oh, the power short. Yeah, it's just like, oh. You know how many wash machines, how much power is drawn on wash machines worldwide? Oh, man. All that power for washing clothes. And some of the people that wash clothes are criminals. Some of them are serial killers and drug dealers use them. So I don't know that we should trust the power needed for washing machines. Really, Bill? You want to talk about a power draw? All of our electronics, all of them,
uses more energy than Netflix, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, and Google combined. I mean, cars are bad for the climate, but at least they take you somewhere.
Bitcoin takes you out of poverty, but this rich dick doesn't want you out of poverty. He wants you, he just said it, he wants you working at some dumb job. And you know, I don't care if Bill Maher agrees with me or not. I mean, this kind of watching this makes me really want the dollar to collapse and it's worth nothing and he's worth nothing. And then all of us who own Bitcoin go, remember that video you did?
In Tiger Woods' case, a tree. But this is just a beanie baby that runs on coal. How can a company like Tesla be all in on saving the planet with electric cars and then participate in destroying it with this completely unnecessary online play money?
Because Tesla, and I'll give Tesla credit for this. They found all of these, there's all these people in Bitcoin finding alternative energy for the mining. And Tesla wants to be on the cutting edge of that. I've been very critical of Elon Musk for saying, we'll coup who we want to coup. That's something to be critical of Elon Musk for. But Tesla going in on Bitcoin because Tesla makes electric cars and solar panels, and they're trying to be on the cutting edge of green energy, Bitcoin is going to be the world's reserve currency. And Bill Maher doesn't get it because he's equating all of these cryptos together because he refuses to learn even the difference between Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies. It's just like saying one stock company like Bernie Madoff. There you go. It's like you learn about Bernie Madoff and then you go, boy, all the stocks and all the Wall Street, it's all Bernie Madoff. But he's stuck in the past. He's intellectually lazy to put this whole segment together and not even learn the difference between Bitcoin and the altcoins. I've had it explained to me. I don't get it. And neither do you. No, Bill, we actually get it. Michael Saylor gets it. Mark Cuban gets it. Max Kaiser gets it. Stacey Herbert gets it. They've been on this show, but you don't. And while you were smoking weed in the green room of your little cushy TV show, people like Max Kaiser and Stacey were buying Bitcoin over 10 years ago.
Almost all the people who tout Bitcoin and deal in Bitcoin and who won't shut the fuck up about Bitcoin, the millennials, the Gen Zers, the Silicon Valley types, these are all the same people who see themselves as hip and progressive and big environmentalists. Bullshit. You're money-hungry opportunists, and you're not allowed to pretend you care about the environment.
And how do you care about the environment, Bill? Tell me. In your mansion in Bel Air or wherever you live, tell me how you care about the environment. Tell me. and he's just shitting on anybody. Are there people trying to get it who are in Bitcoin and crypto just trying to make a lot of money? Absolutely. But there's also a lot of people who are pulling themselves up out of poverty. Of course, he doesn't know about the book Bitcoin in Black America, which is all about empowering the Black community, getting the Black community out of the rat race of crappy jobs and waiting for the government and not getting help and systemic racism that isn't just with the police departments, but the systemic racism of redlining housing districts and housing values and not being, certain job applications with an ethnic name not getting pushed to the side. He doesn't care about that. He's lumping everyone. So everyone that's in Bitcoin is just crybaby, greedy millennials and Gen Z. I got my house taken from me 10 years ago, Bill. That's one of the reasons I'm in it. YouTube has deplatformed me. And so I'm making my money in crypto. I don't care if you make money or not, but what you're saying is dangerous, it's haphazard, and so full of privilege. He is so unaware of all the people in the third world that don't have access to banking, yet they have smartphones and they can buy and sell goods and even acquire wealth through Bitcoin. So, Bill, why don't you shut the fuck up about it? You pompous, rich, out of touch, unfunny old man.
According to the journal Nature, Bitcoin's growth could single-handedly push global temperatures above the tipping point of 2 degrees Celsius. I know.
What about the United States military, the single greatest polluter on the planet, and their ever increasing military budget? No. Let's blame millennials and Gen Z. This keeps getting debunked. I asked this question a year ago, like, well, wait a minute. I heard this is a big power draw. And now I'm seeing more and more that they're actually, all of these energy projects are coming online to deal with the mining and make mining more sustainable. There's a new project, this coin I found out called Sia Coin. And what they do is they go to small like energy companies, like some utility company in some small town or some small state or whatever that has excess utility. And they use that utility to do the mining. And they pay for it for a slightly lower rate so that the mining costs, they're still making a profit on the mining costs, while excess energy that the utility company can't sell. So the utility company is making extra money and it's not a drain. It's not killing the environment. So again, I don't know where he did his research. Like Bill Gates gave him an article when they were both on Epstein's plane or something. And there he goes. There's where he gets it.
Melting ice caps can wait. Your Green New Deal involves cash. Social scientists call this cognitive dissonance, a disconnect between who you think you are and what you actually do. I call it being full of shit.
God, he's so stupid. Before I show you the Bitcoin obituary site, I want to show you, I forgot to show you this. So when you think about what Bill Maher's saying about Bitcoin and crypto and not knowing what he's talking about, and you think, wow, maybe he's right. Maybe crypto's bullshit. Remember articles like this that came out 30 years ago? 2000, internet may be just a passing fad as millions give up on it. This was in 2000. Not to mention all the articles like this that came out in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. Internet is a passing fad. The internet is a passing fad. It's a passing fad. Who's going to use the internet? Come on. You're trying to tell me comedians are going to, like, rather than get sitcoms on TV shows, are going to go to some internet channel and just talk to a camera and they can get an audience anywhere in the world whenever they want? Come on. Wake up. Stop watching Tinkerbell. It's nonsense. It's never going to happen. We're not going to have virtual jobs. Everyone's going to go to work at a place and buy physical stuff. No one's going to just have digital, blah, blah, blah. It's never going to happen. No one's going to, if you don't have a car, you get a taxi cab like an adult. You don't have I'm going to use my car like a taxi cab. Come on, it's a bunch of hooey. Get a real job, said the rich guy. Well, here's a great website that you all should go to. Bitcoin obituaries. Bitcoin has died 411 times. This is all the Bitcoin prices where they all say it's a scam. And so I want to show you this site to show you how woefully out of touch Bill Maher is. Wait, where is it? There we go. So let me show you this site. This is all the time they've called it in the past year. Most recent death, March 1st, 2021. Bitcoin is monopoly money. Oh yeah, they're showing this is Bill Maher's stupid thing, right? They're calling it monopoly money. Look at that. But let's oldest death. This is from 2010. Why Bitcoin can't be a currency. The Underground Economist. Negative feedback loops like this one are basically homeostasis. In nature, positive feedback loops like exist with Bitcoin are lethal. The only thing that's even kept Bitcoin alive this long is novelty. So Bitcoin now has been around 12 years. You have all this institutional money coming into it because people, once they understand it, once like money people understand it, like Bill Maher even said, oh, now Microsoft and Apple, and they're all in it. So everyone and all these big hedge funds are just greedy little Gen Z or Gen Xers running around trying to make money, not caring about the internet or the environment. Okay. The original site on which this obituary was posted is no longer live. Luckily, however, the internet doesn't forget. So even this dumb oh my God. Oh, so let's go read some more. That's the oldest one. Deaths by year. Found a Bitcoin obituary, sent him it does. Here's 10 years ago. Here's 10 years ago. Bitcoins aren't secure, as both the recent theft and the password problem show. They are not liquid nor a store of value, as the price collapse shows. And if they're none of those things, then they'll not be a great medium of exchange either, as who could want to accept them? It's difficult to see what the currency has going for it. So if somebody hacks, your Bank of America, they could steal your money. It's preposterous. Because by design, there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoins in existence. And thanks to hoarding and attrition, we can be sure that it will eventually serve as nothing more than a collector's item. I would like to call upon the Bitcoin community to stop referring to it as a digital currency. This is misleading and harmful. It's going to be the world's reserve currency. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The internet's coming, Bill. This rock and roll music, those four guys from Liverpool with the crazy haircuts. I don't want them. It's Elvis guy shaking his hips all weird. It's never going to last. It's never going to last. It's a fad. It's a fad. Just like Bill Maher thinking he's hip. So these are from... Oh, let's go. What do you say? Look at let's do 2017, the year, the Andromeda strain of computer science. Bitcoin and the blockchain are interesting ideas that escape the laboratory without proper engineering. Why Bitcoin investors are like stamp collectors. Why Bitcoin is the largest Ponzi scheme in human history. The great Bitcoin scam, Forbes. Bitcoin is implausibility currency. Bloomberg. Morgan Stanley says the true price of a Bitcoin might be zero. Business Insider. The Bitcoin hoax. The Huffington Post. 10 years in, nobody has come up with a use for the blockchain. Bitcoin is leading a zero, and many will lose everything when the bubble pops, warns investor Peter Schiff. It's great. If you don't understand something, just mock people that do as dummies. Bitcoin analogous to gold. Fool's gold. Oh boy, that's a good one. The Swedish co-founder Bitcoin.com has sold all his Bitcoins. A Nobel Prize winning economist says Bitcoin is more obvious bubble than housing was. Russia and China will engineer Bitcoin apocalypse. How? What if they hack it? You can't. It's the blockchain. That means you don't understand the blockchain. You can't hack it because everyone will see it and say that's not valid and know who hacked it. You can't do it. Probably an NSA cryptographer came up with Bitcoin because it's brilliant. Like other cryptographers are like, wow, whoever came up with this was a genius. Can't split an atom. It's an atom. It's the smallest thing in the world. You got to split it? Split it into what? It's like splitting a piece of dust. You can't split an atom. Can't split. Come on. Look, there's this guy Henry Ford with this like horseless carrot. Good luck. We're always going to need horses. A horseless carriage. What's it going to run on? What are you going to run on? What's it going to do? Horseless carriage. What's it going to do? Come on. Remember that patent clerk in the 1800s that was like, everything that's ever been invented has been. That's Bill Maher. Oh, it's a trading sardine. Bitcoin buyers should be prepared to lose all their money. Bitcoin, the world's first decentralized Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is a failing as a currency. Bitcoin is the most perfect bubble possible. Why Bitcoin is fool's gold. So the thing, why Bill Maher and people like him are so dumb, he lists all of these people accepting it. Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, PayPal, Square. So what's it going to be? So that means the more people that use it, the more it's going to be accepted. So he listed all the reasons why it's going to be successful and then said, this is a bunch of hooey that kids you. It's like hula hoops. You kids rock and rolling with your hula hoops. This'll never work. These are fun. Bitcoin is a Ponzi game and it will collapse like one. Why Bitcoin's success could be its downfall. The Washington Post. Really? The Washington Post said misinformation. Really? The Washington Post that pushes State Department talking points. Bitcoin is useless. Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. Bitcoin prices are headed to $1. Peter Schiff. Bitcoin is doomed. A new goal. We could read these all day. So that's why Bill Maher has no idea what he's talking about. And like all people of privilege, he's so pompous. He read something about it's bad for the environment by Bill Gates and did no more research. And then came up with his jokes or had his writers come up with his jokes. And then the audience warm-up comedian pimps the audience to laugh and cheer and all that stuff. That's how TV works, by the way. And I'm sure some of the people come to the show like, oh, Bill Maher's amazing. So maybe they're laughing legitimately because they like privileged Hollywood neoliberals who push nonsense. No research on how it's helping the unbanked in third world countries. No research on how it's pulling people out of poverty in the Black community, as that book, Bitcoin in Black America, is showing. No research on all of the green energy programs out there being used to do the mining. no research on the difference between each coin and how some of them are actually brilliant technologies. Some of them might fail, like websites, like software, like an app. It's like saying, what he's saying is like, all these apps are nonsense, this smartphone hooey. Some apps are really smart. Some apps weren't designed well and they'll fail. Somebody came up with something like Blockbuster Video. What a brilliant idea. And then Netflix came in and kicked their ass. Amazon used to sell books, and now it is a media provider, and it's the largest online store in the world. I'm not a proponent of them, but I'm just showing all of these things. Bill, like he has no historical reference. It's unbelievable to me. It's hilarious to watch somebody that out of touch and then think they're so, because look, this is the problem with some comedians when they get older. Bill was on the cutting edge when he was a young comic. He was the guy calling out the powerful and those he was doing that. Now he's a rich, privileged guy calling out regular working people for being dumb. Because he doesn't know what it's. The last time he struggled was probably in 1983, was the last time he didn't know when he was going to be able to pay his bills. You know, he was a comic that came up in the late 70s, early 80s. He doesn't know what's out. He doesn't know what people are going through. And he's one of these like, oh, these millennials. He's doing that thing, which is he's completely forgetting when he was a teenager and in his early 20s and people would yell at him for his being young. And then not learning anything new, still pushing the same nonsense. Still, I mean, he's the guy that's like Jill Stein. You know, he blamed Jill Stein for Trump rather than Hillary because he wants to be a Democratic insider. He wants to get invited to their parties. He's part of the privileged. He wants to go to big DC events and be asked to speak, you know, because he's got a big following. He's got a big audience. So he wants, and, you know, he uses his following to get access to big time celebrities, and he wants to kiss Obama's ass. And that's what he's going to do. So Bitcoin is a threat to centralized banks and central governments. Like what Max Kaiser and Max Kaiser and his wife Stacey, are they just dumb millennials that are greedy? Max Kaiser said it. Watch the interview with Max Kaiser on this show. Bitcoin solves every problem. The environment, Bitcoin can fix it. War, all of it. Because the central banks that Bill Maher seems to love so much, they finance war. He's not going to talk about that. He's not going to do any critical research. He's just going to say Dogecoin and Bitcoin are the same thing. It's literally like saying a yard sale and Target are the same. They all just sell crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There's probably even 10 better analogies than the one I just gave. But this is what happens to comics when they get older. The ones that really keep their fingers on the pulse, like George Carlin did. That's why he was throwing fastballs in his 70s, man. Because he was paying attention and he didn't yell at these kids. He didn't do it these kids today. The minute you do it these kids today, you're out. You lost. You're an out of touch old person. You've lost. It's a thing I learned from my father, who was a college professor, and he never said these kids today. He said he'd say generation gap, just as like I don't get that and they don't get this thing because there's just a generation gap. Now, my father grew up in an era where he didn't have TV. They listened to the radio and read books. Like FDR would give his fireside chat. So my dad had a different era than I had. My nieces and nephews are growing up in a different era. One of the things that they're growing up in is they've had to have active shooter drills. So when it's like, oh, the millennials saw their parents lose everything in the last housing crisis. And it wasn't because of some Bitcoin style. Bitcoin was actually created after the last housing crisis in response to it. Because the central banks and Wall Street let that's an actual Ponzi scheme that happened. You read the Wall Street bets, all the people involved in that, so many people in the comments section were like, you know, these big corporations screwed my family over. My dad lost his job. My mom lost her retirement. My dad killed himself after he lost everything. The last thing destroyed people's lives and families, but that rich asshole Bill Maher doesn't care. So he's going to shame millennials who saw their parents get their wealth wiped out. Thank God I didn't have kids, but I lost my home. Because the federal banking, the central banking system is utterly corrupt. The Federal Reserve is a banking cartel. But they haven't screwed Bill Maher over, so he's going to defend it. He's going to say, oh, it's not perfect. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's an idiot. And thank God there's morons like that. It makes my job easier here. George Carlin never would be saying this about Bitcoin. He'd be like, this is awesome. George Carlin was like always looking for the new cutting, the new idea, the new brilliant thing. Not Bill Maher. Thanks for watching, everybody. Support what we do because, you know, I don't work for HBO. I don't get paid $10, $20 million a year to protect those in power. I'm supported by you. And who watches me? Everybody. All different age groups, all different ethnicities, all different genders and sexual orientations. I'm watched by everybody. Bill Maher is an idiot that goes to Hollywood parties. I know people that know. I've seen Bill Maher at parties in Hollywood. He's he's an asshole. He's another guy that's a dick to people. He's a dick to his staff. So he doesn't care about you. He wants you to get a dumb job so that he can still drive around in a $200,000 car. Thanks for watching the show. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.